Welcome to SKEDlive. It's Tuesday, February 23rd. I'm your host, Brian Aguilar. Here's what's making news now. Metrolinx is proposing a fare reduction for the Union Pearson Express train. The cash fare will decrease from $27.50 to $12, while Presto card fare will drop from $19 to $9. The move comes after the ridership hit an all-time low in November and December. Metrolinx released numbers showing that trains were running at around 10% capacity in the last 2 months of 2015. The proposed fare changes still need to be approved at a special meeting of the Metrolinx Board of Directors tonight. In other transit news, preliminary construction works on the Finch West LRT will begin later this year. Infrastructure Ontario and Metrolinx have requested proposals to the 3 construction consortia that are shortlisted for the contract of the project. The contract for the 11-kilometer segregated alignment between Humber College and the future Finch West station on the Toronto-York Spillane subway extension won't be awarded till next year. The LRT is expected to be completed in 2021 and is forecast to handle 14.6 million rides a year. Day 1 of the Mark Mutso sentencing has ended today and will continue tomorrow. Skedline reporter Luke Alexander was at today's proceedings.
I'm here at the Newmarket Courthouse, where there was just a sentencing hearing for Marco Muzzo, a 29-year-old who has pled guilty to drunk driving charges in a crash that killed 3 children and their grandfather. While no sentence was handed out by the judge today, we did hear devastating victim statements from the friends and family of the deceased. Particularly heart-wrenching was the statement of the mother of the dead children. She gave brutal descriptions of the aftermath, saying she saw their spines resemble the block tower I built with my daughter the day before you killed her. At one point, Muzzo hung his head, but for the most part remained stone-faced throughout the proceedings. The judge agreed to adjourn today and deliver the sentence tomorrow. This is Luke Alexander. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Luke. A scary scene at a Pickering school earlier today. A female student is in custody after several students were stabbed at Dunbarton High School in Pickering Tuesday morning, according to the Durham Regional Police. 8 people, including 6 students and 2 school staffs, were injured. 4 were taken to the hospital, and their injuries are considered superficial. Officers were called to the school around 8:30 a.m. for the reports of a stabbing inside the school. The student was apprehended by 2 quick-thinking staff members who held her on the scene until officers arrived, the police say. The police conducted a controlled release in the high school looking for anyone who witnessed the incident. The school will remain closed for the day as police complete their investigation. The search for the missing University of Guelph student who was involved in a fatal kayak accident in Caledon on Sunday resumes today. University officials identified the missing student as Zach Sutherland, a 4th-year commerce major, on Monday. Sutherland was with her girlfriend, 3rd-year English student Kaya Furt, whose body was pulled from the icy waters in Caledon on Sunday. The police have not confirmed the names or revealed any information about their relationship. BMO's first quarter profits and Bill Gates gives his take on the battle between the FBI and Apple. This and more business news with Irvin Solitario.
Thanks, Brian. Well, good afternoon. I'm Irvin Solitario, and this is your business and tech headlines for today. One of Canada's largest banks is getting bigger. The Bank of Montreal saw a 7% rise in the first quarter, posting a $1.7 billion in profit. BMO also saw a rise south of the border, with shares rising 31%, adding $251 million more in profit. BMO is the 4th largest bank in Canada, behind RBC, TD Canada Trust, and the Bank of Nova Scotia. The saga between Apple and the FBI is a little bit more interesting today. As you may recall, Apple CEO Tim Cook wrote a scathing letter in support against unlocking the San Bernardino shooter's iPhone. Microsoft founder and philanthropist Bill Gates said earlier that Apple is, quote, mischaracterizing, unquote, its fight against the FBI. Soon after, the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, and Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg threw their support behind Cook. However, Gates clarified his statements today, saying his views were not properly stated in the interview. Well, come summer 2016, you can selfie your way to buying your afternoon coffee. MasterCard Canada announced today that instead of passwords, customers can use selfies and fingerprints to verify their online purchases. More details are set to be announced by MasterCard Canada towards the end of the rollout date. More bad news for Canadian aerospace company Bombardier. As the company announced new job layoffs, United Airlines announced they would not be picking the company to build 25 single-aisled new jets. Instead, United picked American company Boeing. Earlier this year, the province of Quebec bailed out the struggling company, while the federal government is in negotiation to do the same thing. In addition, the company's locomotive sector is also being sued by the Toronto Transit Commission for the ongoing delayed rollout of the city's streetcars. The company's aerospace plant is located in the city. From planes to trains, and now we go to automobiles. Uber announced today that it is pulling out its services in Calgary. This comes after a 14-to-1 vote legalized the embattled car service in the city. However, Uber Alberta General Manager Ramit Kaur said the service will not be financially viable under the new rules. Kaur said the new law breaks Uber's business model as he announced the company's exit in the city. And that's your business news today. Now back to Brian from on today's headlines.
Thanks, Irvin. The federal government is set to give Alberta about $250 million in stabilization funding. Finance Minister Bill Morneau was expected to announce the funding on Tuesday. Provinces can make claims under the federal stabilization program when economic shifts cause their revenues to tumble by more than 5% from one year to the next. Ottawa has already pledged to fast-track up to $700 million in infrastructure funding for Alberta, along with the changes to the employment insurance program as jobless rate goes up in the province. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to march in this year's Pride Parade in Toronto. Trudeau will become the first Prime Minister to participate in the festivities. The city's first ever Pride Month will launch on June 1 with a theme of belonging and inclusion. It will conclude with a parade on July 3. Along with Trudeau, Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne and Toronto Mayor John Tory are also slated to take part in the festivities. A motion condemning the boycott, divestment, and sanctions or BDS movement against Israel passed by a vote of 229 to 51 in Ottawa on Monday. The motion was put forward by the Conservatives and got huge support from Prime Minister Trudeau's Liberals. But not all Liberal MPs were supportive, as dozens of them refused to vote and one voted against it. BDS calls for an economic boycott for Israel over its treatment of Palestinians and has become an important issue on university campuses. The NDP lashed out at the other two parties for not supporting freedom of belief. They said the motion is designed to muzzle people who hold contrary opinions. Mayor John Tory heads to Hollywood, while Morgan Freeman will be your new travel companion. That and more of your entertainment news now with Zhangli Chan.
Thanks, Brian. The GPS app Waze announced today that Morgan Freeman's voice is now available as a download. Morgan Freeman's deep baritone is well known to everybody. He had his voice used for GPS in the past, used by companies to promote their brand. The reporters Sadie and Alina talked to the people to say if they would buy the new device.
It's interesting. His voice is used in a lot of commercials and for voiceovers for films and stuff like that, so it's a familiar, soothing voice.
I mean, he has a great voice. Let's not beat around the bush about that. And it could be kind of fun, but I do wonder about the questions it raises in terms of who you could pick and when and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think a lot of people will buy it. I'm partial to the Australian voices on the GPS, so I'm not sure if I would venture out of my way for it.
I would just use what is provided. I wouldn't go out of my way to buy anything different.
Depending on how much, probably. If it was like on the cheaper end, I'd look into it. And it'd be so motivational. I find him very, very exciting, right?
Great voice.
Great voice.
There will be that segment of people who really want to do it, or at least try it out as a gimmick.
Mayor John Tory is traveling to Hollywood for Academy Awards to promote Toronto's booming film and television industry. About 25,000 people work in Toronto's film, television, and digital media industry. Jasmeet Singh, who is better known as Jess Ring on YouTube, was forced to take off his turban during the security check at the San Francisco airport. The TSA agent refused to give the son a mirror to put his turban back on. Ruina Rowena Reed have more on his story. For the full report, head to skedline.com. Kim Kardashian shared the first photo of her baby through her app today. It is her deceased father's, Robert Kardashian's, birthday today, so he shared the photo in his honor. Some believe sharing the photo through her app is a smart business move. Is anyone interested in going to Chicago for First Festival? The First Festival marks the 30 years anniversary of the Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It is scheduled to take place from May 20th and 22nd in Chicago. The TV series Empire is being dropped from Canadian networks and is moving to Shomi. Shomi has acquired exclusive access to American show. The final half of the show's second season will be airing in the March 30th and on Fox. Shomi says each episode will be available within 24 hours of original airing. Shomi offers a free trial for the first 30 days for new customers, and then it changed to $8.99 per month. And now to Andrew Escobar with your sport news.
Thanks, Joanny. The Toronto Blue Jays right fielder Jose Bautista has presented the club with a non-negotiable contract. Bautista said he will part ways with the club if his demands are not met. According to Rick Westhead, TSN senior correspondent, Bautista is demanding a 5-year, $150 million contract, but Bautista denies those allegations. For the latest updates on this story, Skedline reporter Jonathan Tonin has a full report on our website, skedline.com. Keeping up with the Blue Jays, a potential three-way trade between the Jays, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Los Angeles is off for now. The proposed trade would have reportedly brought outfielder Jay Bruce to the Toronto Blue Jays, Michael Saunders to the Los Angeles Angels, and the Reds would acquire a bunch of prospects. According to Jeff Passan, MLB columnist for Yahoo Sports, the deal fell through because of a medical concern of a minor leaguer who was going to Cincinnati. Despite this failed deal, reports say the Jays are still looking at other options for acquiring Bruce. And now for Raptors. Continuing with the Toronto sports teams, the Toronto Raptors dominated the New York Knicks last night with a score of 122-95. Kyle Lowry recorded his 8th triple-double of his career with 22 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan also contributed to this blowout with 22 points, and with this win, he has participated in his 233rd win. DeRozan has the most wins by a player in franchise history, beating out Chris Bosh and Morris Peterson. Now for your NBA roundup, the Detroit Pistons maintained their early lead and just held on to win against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, 96-88. Reggie Jackson scored 23 points with 3 rebounds, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope added 19 points with 4 rebounds. The Miami Heat defeated Indiana Pacers in OT 101-93. Goran Dragic put up 24 points with 8 rebounds, and Dwayne Wade with 16 points. Despite scoring 31 points, Paul George and the Indiana Pacers could not leave Miami with the win. Andrew Wiggins and the Minnesota Timberwolves just beat the Boston Celtics 124-122. Timberwolves' Karl Anthony Towns scored 28 points and 13 rebounds, and Andrew Wiggins had 17 points with 1 rebound. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the Los Angeles Lakers 108-101. The Los Angeles Clippers defeated the Phoenix Suns 124-84. And the Golden State Warriors clinched their 50th win last night against the Atlanta Hawks 102-92. The Golden State Warriors now hold the record for fastest team to reach 50 wins in NBA history. And now on to hockey. The Columbus Blue Jackets beat the Boston Bruins 6-4. Columbus player Boone Jenner scored 2 goals and Ryan Murray had 2 assists. The Washington Capitals defeated Arizona Coyotes 3-2. The San Jose Sharks came out ahead against the St. Louis Blues 6-3. And Nashville Predators beat the Montreal Canadiens by shootout 2-1. Speaking about the Montreal Canadiens, a 1-month-old baby was hospitalized after being hit by a loose puck following an open practice on Sunday afternoon at the Bell Center. According to the infant's mother, Valerie Meloche, The puck was being soft-tossed to the Montreal fans after practice. Unfortunately, the puck tossed by PK Subban was caught by a 1-month-old baby. The baby suffered a concussion but was released from hospital on Monday. In tennis news, Tennis Canada announced the Canadian Davis Cup team that will participate in the Davis Cup. Canada is scheduled to compete against France in the first round. Franz Devenovic, Daniel Nestor, Vasek Pospisil, and Milos Raonic were named to represent Canada. Richard Gasquet, Gael Monfils, Gilles Simon, and Joe-Wilfried Tsonga are set to play for France. The Davis Cup tournament by BNP Paribas World Group will be held in Guadeloupe from March 4th to 6th. In other sports news, Canadian Olympic winning snowboarder Mark McMorris has broken his femur during an event in California. McMorris won a bronze medal at the Olympic Games in Sochi, Russia in 2014 and is considered a contender to win gold at the 2018 Olympics. McMorris fractured his right femur on Sunday during the second day of the Air Plus Style snowboarding event. He will undergo surgery to have a nail placed in his fractured femur to help it heal, and he is expected to take 6 months for a full recovery. And that's all for sports. Now back to Brian Aguilar for more on today's news.
Thanks, Andrew. Pretty exciting days as a Blue Jays fan. Moving on to international news, President Barack Obama announced his plan to shut down the detention facility at Guantanamo Bay on Tuesday. The plan, which has been on Obama's agenda since he took office in 2009, centers on the transfer of between 30 to 60 detainees to U.S. soil and suggests several possible locations in South Carolina, Kansas, and Colorado. The rest of the 91 detainees at the prison could be sent to other countries. Obama said on Tuesday that keeping the facility open is contrary to our values. Guantanamo Bay, located on the eastern edge of Cuba, has housed prisoners taken captive in the War on Terror since 2002. Will Donald Trump get his third consecutive win in tonight's Republican Nevada caucus? He hopes so. Trump has posted decisive wins in both the New Hampshire and South Carolina primaries going into tonight's event. The low voter turnout in Nevada could complicate his aim to rack up his third consecutive win. However, polls show that Trump has a big lead in the state. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz continue their fight to derail Trump to come on top of the GOP presidential race. Rubio finished second place in South Carolina, while Cruz won the Iowa primary. The U.S. and Russia have announced that a planned ceasefire in Syria will come into effect at midnight on February 27. Their statement said the truce did not include so-called Islamic State and the Al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front. On Tuesday, the Syrian government accepted the halt to combat operations, according to the Syrian state media. The deal would cover the Syrian government's military forces and armed opposition groups. Airstrikes by Syria, Russia, and the U.S.-led coalition will continue against the terrorist groups that were not included in the deal. There's a winter storm coming tomorrow that will bring terrible weather conditions in the GTA. What can we expect? Let's head outside to Sadie Perfetto for the latest.
Thanks. I'm outside on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It's sunny, it's 1 degree. If you're going to do some outdoor activities, today is definitely the day you're going to want to do that, because into Wednesday morning, we'll be getting into a winter storm watch that'll be ongoing for the next couple of days. Alana Pranjic has more in the studio.
Thanks, Sadie. We're going to see a messy mix of weather for the next couple of days. A winter storm watch has been issued for parts of the GTA and southern Ontario. A low pressure area emerging from Texas is expected to intensify into a winter storm as it moves towards the Great Lakes just after midnight. Depending on where you are, you can expect to see a mix of snow, hail, and even some freezing rain. But by Thursday morning, it is expected to change back to all snow as colder air comes in from the north. As the storm arrives on Wednesday morning, driving conditions could become dangerous, so Environment Canada is advising against any non-essential driving. Otherwise, be careful and remember to take your time. As we move into Friday, you can see that the skies are going to clear with mostly sun, a high of -4 and a low of -9. Then as we move into Saturday, the clouds do roll in. We'll have a high of 1 degree and a low of -8. Then on Sunday, we do have a chance of seeing that winter weather again as we see some flurries. That's it for your 5-day forecast and weather update. I'm Alana Pranjic. Now back to Brian.
Thanks, Elena. Well, I guess it'll be a messy commute tomorrow. Moving on, the HSF election campaign is underway. What issues do Humber students care about? Sabrina Arruda talked to students, and here's what they're saying.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Arruda here on Humber College Lakeshore campus. Candidates are starting to campaign for the upcoming election. We came to talk to students to see what they feel is the biggest issue on campus. Although Humber Student Federation has held many events throughout the year, there are still some that have not been recognized.
That we don't have Multicultural Day.
Some of the students on campus don't feel that there are many issues at Humber.
I don't feel any issue on campus. No.
You don't have any issues at all?
No, not at all.
No? Okay.
Actually, with my course, I have it.
As an international student, she feels that there are some disadvantages that she would like further assistance on.
So finding an internship, as I'm an international student, so when I'm looking for internship, it's hard to find it. Because from home country, I don't have experience. Looking in Canada, if you look for a job or internship, they prefer you should have an experience, right? And I don't have that.
Students are looking for improvements from the college. Here's what first year Corinne and his friend Carl had to say.
Mostly with the pathway during winter time, it has been quite slippery and icy. It does become a danger and a hazard. Also because that actually prevents us from going from building to building. We might have to consider using a different sidewalk. So because of that, I feel that that's my biggest issue.
Probably the biggest issue I have here is the parking. It's kind of expensive. Sometimes during the winter it seemed that the parking spots weren't really cleared and stuff, so it's kind of hard to notice. And it just kind of seems like it's very cluster.
Corinne also shared his thought process when deciding who he will be voting for.
I would look at someone who has previous experience, who understands what they're doing, see what potential they have. If it's someone who's just walking up there, of course I'm not going to choose them.
Candidates will be campaigning over the next few weeks, and students can vote between March 7th and 11th from 9 till 4. I'm Sabrina Arruda. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Sabrina. Before we go, here's a new video of the giant panda crabs with their mom, Urshan, from the Toronto Zoo. Look at them. Aren't they cute? You'll get a chance to see them on March 12. While their names aren't decided yet, you can still vote on the zoo's website. That's SKEDlive for Tuesday, February 3. From all of us here at SKEDline, I'm your host, Brian Aguilar. See you next time.